All right. Well, here I am. I know that I've been taking a break. We went on vacation, went up to Lake Arrowhead. We had a really nice time. Um, I just got worn out, I had so much I'm one of those people that people ask me to do hey, let's do this. I'm like, okay. And I'm like a yes man, you know? Like, dude, you want to meet at the park at like 3 in the morning in butt fuck? Drink 40s? Yes. Anyway, I don't really do shit like that, but when I have a lot of friends that want to collaborate on stuff, podcast, I have like a list of podcasts that I'm supposed to do that I don't have time. I just have trouble managing my time, and I just have too much going on. I got the new book, I got the movies, and then I'm trying to really focus on the nonprofit. And I linked up with somebody a couple days ago, and they already own a nonprofit, and I'm thinking about merging with them. Something I really believe in. There was a while back where I was trying to give scholarships, and I gave 3 away, and all 3 of those people went to this rehab that they were, the rehab was giving me a sponsorship, and all 3 of those people ran away. Then I started saying, okay, you guys got to write essays. Hey, what's up, fool? Nothing. I'm just chilling. Not those kind of essays. Like 3,000 word report about why I should give you treatment. And people are like, dude, I'm strung out. I need help. I don't need to do homework. I'm like, well, the only reason I wanted to do that is because it kind of filters out who, really wants treatment and who doesn't. I'm trying to think if, the audio sounds kind of weird. Let me adjust this. How does that sound? Does that sound better? Nah. Maybe that. I don't know. Back in the day, I would have already stopped recording, but nowadays, it's whatever. I don't think you guys care. What I did though to take the load off is I hired 4 people. One person is going to go through and catalog my entire YouTube channel, start putting it up on a private server, take the introductions where I'm like spanging, like, yo, please send me $4 so I can get gas. No more of that. No ads on YouTube. And then one of the things on Patreon will be storylines that are no, commercial free, no introduction, just straight to the point. And it'll be in playlist. I'm also having him reorganize everything, do everything in playlist so it's better. Put it up on different platforms. I just started recording a new album. I'm gonna put out a single. I'm just gonna do Mike Virgin, a nice clean version that you can download on iTunes, doing Cameo. So I got this guy that's pretty much in charge of everything, the merchandise. Talked to the guy because I already had some drug stories for truckers, shirts, hoodies, printed, some leggings for women. And he works in a mall, so it got shut down, but I get those on the 16th. So I'll have those, and I already have Teespring. That's in the pinned comments. He's going to be in charge of that. I got people doing the website so I can do e-commerce with affiliations with, my different friends that I have that own clothing companies or do art. And then I got somebody that's going to be in charge of my nonprofit stuff that's actually going to be doing it, managing it. Then I have another person that's in charge of mailing, and I'm about to put a email address so you can contact that person directly. I'm so disorganized. If I've ever forgotten you, you can just send a receipt. We have a master list of people that we have sent stuff to. You can double check. He can send it to you. I'm fairly certain we're all caught up, but I deal with so many people I don't know. My Gmail account doesn't even work anymore. You try to send an email, it's like the mailbox is flat. I didn't even know that was possible, on Gmail. But that's what happened. So anyway, just checking what time it is. He will be in charge of that, and he'll be also the one that's in charge of selling the Narcan. I have a meeting with this existing nonprofit. It has to do with probably my favorite musician of all time. It's a nonprofit in his memory, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to team up with them. I'm definitely donating some of the proceeds to Drug Stories for Truckers to this foundation, and we're just trying to make it all official. So once that all goes through, I'll let you guys know. got a couple acting gigs, sold a screenplay or optioned one. And so I'm going to have some lines in movies. I'm not trying to be an actor, but whatever. And what else? Just so much shit. I don't know. Let's get into it. Like, comment, subscribe, patreon.com/Ryan Leone. And let's get into it. So we're in like the breakdown part of this, my Odyssey, my dirtbag chronicles. Look at that guy's life is so fucked. What a piece of shit. No, I don't think I'm a piece of shit. I was thinking about that the other day. I really don't think I'm a bad person. I think when I do drugs, I'm a bad person, no doubt. But I think back about the bad things that I did on drugs, and like it wasn't that bad. Like the other day, I got scammed out of $400, and then it was an escrow, and I actually lost $1,200. I found that out today. So $1,200 is not like a lot of money, but I got hustled. Somebody did that to me. I think back and like I did do a little like scandalous shit like that when I was probably like 18 or 19. I used to have I don't know if I ever told you, but I used to have this hustle where like I'd tell people, hey, I can get you a fake driver's license. I know someone that works at the DMV. Oh yeah, just send me 300 or give me $300 and get a passport photo at Kinko's, put in an envelope, put all of your all your stats. I made like a template that made it look like what it would be on the driver's license. Give me $300, wait about 6 weeks, and it'll come in your mail just like a normal driver's license. Back then, people didn't really look at me as like a scandalous junkie. Like I'd just gotten out of high school and I didn't really pull stuff like that, but I was deep into heroin addiction by that point. And I burned a bunch of people. And then a couple years later, when I started selling drugs, and I had the money, I started calling people like one by one. I'd be like, hey, it's Ryan. Remember me? That guy that burned you on the driver's license scam? And a lot of people wouldn't even talk to me. But for the people that would talk to me, I said, hey, listen, I was in addiction and they didn't know that I still was. I was definitely still strung out, but I would make it right with them. I'd meet up with them and I'd give them like 400, I'd give them an extra 100. Not saying that makes up for it, but point is, I look back and I have a lot of drug addict friends that have literally no morals. Like they don't, no integrity. See it all the time. Snitch, shit like that. I have no love for people that cooperate with law enforcement. Like if I haven't, anyone can. They should do like seminars, like how not to snitch. I saw a live stream the other day of Tekashi 6ix9ine, and he's like, "Well, dude, I don't even know how that guy talks." He's like his little rainbow hair, and he's like, "Well, those guys fucked me over, so like it's okay." It's never okay. It is never okay. When you're doing something illegal and you get caught, you have to take responsibility for what you did. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter what they did to you. That doesn't make it right. I've heard people say that, when I was in Wisconsin, I remember there was a situation with this guy and he was like just out with it that he was a rat. That was in the Midwest. It wasn't like California. The politics were different. There's no GPPC. It's just the feds. It's like a free for all. And he would say how he was a rat and he'd be like, well, those guys owed me like $700, dude. Yeah. Nobody burns me for 7 bills, homeboy. I told the FBI. Got him 30 years. Shit like that. And it's like, we would be like, what the fuck? And at that place, it's kind of like a don't ask, don't tell. But that guy was just like straight. I would hear people like arguing about, well, I got this kind of credit. Oh, no. The kind of rat and I did this kind of credit. Who got more money, Jay-Z or 50 Cent? Jay-Z got more money. Oh, the dead homie. Shit like that. So Tekashi, it's like you can't come out of that unscathed. Like, you're a rat. Sorry, buddy. Like, it's a rap. Not to be, no pun intended, but it is a rap for you. And, Tekashi stole a soundbite from my boy Al Prophet, and now Al's suing the motherfucker. Good, Al. Sue that guy. Get him. Can't do that. And he just like took it off his YouTube. He's like, oh, I'm going to use this. And then I'm going to join Neighborhood Watch. Did you see him with those little rainbow hair with like binoculars? Like, whoo! Dude, is that guy biking without a mask on during Corona? Yeah, this is Tekashi. We got a maskless biker. Yeah, thank you. It's like his bat phone. He like some bookshelf like opens and he like jumps on a pole. You know, jumps on like some fucking unicorn type. I'm sorry. Let's get into the story. So, so what we're talking about is the breakdown period. You know, which was when everything started to really go. You already know it was a culmination of things. Not knowing what was going to happen with our unborn child with the hole in the heart. That was a big deal. But also, you know, my PO, the therapist, the pending doom of going to prison. This is the second time that I was in this situation. Second time that I went on that small violation, I only did 3 months, but I had the impending doom of going back. You know, for like 4 or 5 months, I knew I was going back, and it drives you mad. I'm already the kind of person that doesn't respond well to pressure. Karina says that all the time. When I get too, like right now, I'm sleeping 3 or 4 hours, if that, you know, 3 hours at the most. I was up all night trying to catch up on June Gloom. I'm really trying to put it out when we, you know, on June 13th. I really, really want to stick to that date because it has importance, but it's editing. If anybody is a writer, you know that the rewrites are like insanely time consuming to get everything perfect, you know, structurally, content wise. So it's consuming a lot of my time. But you add the impending doom of going back to prison and it just drives you mad. Then I tried to consolidate, you know, I tried to conflate several different problems that I had. Missing the birth of my unborn son, going to prison, the feds fucking with me. I tried to like put it conflate it into one thing, the event. The event, I have a flyer for it right here. I think I've like used it for tutors to snort Wellbutrin, but you know, that's a flyer from it. And that's just, oh, here's one that's not torn, you know, and that's what like the final flyer looked like. And we're going to get to that. So that event is what absolutely drove me crazy. And like I said in the last video, every single person was against it. My parents were like, I don't know if you can pull it off. But I'd gotten Immortal Technique to say that he would play. You got to deal with my record company. And, you know, I said they would send their contract. I had to pay a cash deposit, which I didn't understand. Max was willing to pay the deposit on credit card. But when you do a deposit to book somebody like that, a musician, you got to do it with cash or bank wire. And that would later complicate things. So to deal with booking Immortal Technique, I had to deal with Viper Records, which is based in New York, and I had to deal with the person that coordinates those things. I don't even remember what his name is. So I called him, started talking. He said, absolutely, this is the price. I think it was like we had to do a deposit of like 10 grand, and then it was a percentage on the back end for the tickets, something like that. I don't remember. It was a pretty significant amount that we had to give them up front, and we had to provide hotel, security, and then they give you the rider. I don't know if I've talked about it, but it's like a list of like hostage demands, and they're like the weirdest things, like 57 green M&Ms, 4 bottles of Evian, you know, 2 monsters, 1 half drinking, a Dalmatian without spots, 7 red wigs, Tekashi 6ix9ine's head on a mop handle, you know, like just it's insane. It's like a scavenger hunt list. You're like, what the fuck? Like, can't we just give you money? Can't you get these like 15 Sharpies, 1 piece of lined paper, 2 pieces of construction paper? I was like reading this shit. So what the fuck? And 36 little packets of Kleenex. You know, I was like, damn, that's a lot of jizz. I mean, that's what I thought. You know, we need 36 of them. I think we had to fly him and like 5 people out. You know, I don't even remember. So anyway, this was what I had to do. And Max was already financing my documentary. Is one of the financiers. Zach was already financing part of the documentary. Like we had different people with financial stakes in it. So my whole thing is I was like, did the math, and I'm like, okay, we'll do tiered tickets. We'll do some for, I don't even remember. $75 for general admission. And oh, and by the way, the event was going to be a bunch of prison reform activists, best-selling authors, actors, music, trailer for my documentary. So there'd be like the Immortal Technique performance, and then we would premiere the trailer for my doc when there'd be a 30-minute Q&A. And so this is the price structure. $75 for general admission. That's it. You just get to sit there. You're like, dude, is that Takashi's head on a mop handle? Nah, bro. He's still locked up. $200 is the premier tier. So for $200, you get assigned seating, you get a small gift bag, signed Wasting Talent, signed Fight Club DVD. I haven't read this shit for so long. It's like bringing back memories. So that's the premier $200 tier. For $250, you get VIP bronze, medium gift bag, bronze. Oh, yeah, bronze, gold. Okay. You get a medium gift bag. So it's like you get a small one. This one's a little bigger. Medium gift bag, signed memorabilia from all writers, and access to celebrity meet and greet, access to Q&A, and you may be in the documentary. Must sign a consent form. And that's the thing. We were going to show the audience in the Q&A, so we would show people, and we're trying to incentivize people. So that's for $250. For $500, you get VIP gold, large gift bag, a whammer, with products, photos with celebrities, guaranteed inclusion in the film. So for $500, you're automatically in it. For $1,000, you get a producer pass, everything from above, plus thank you in film, decision makers, backstage passes. And that's it. So I did the math and I was like, okay, so, we could make $100,000 off this event. At this time, I had called some people, I don't know if I talked about it, but I got linked up with this attorney down in LA. Her name was Jen Williams, and she was part of a really high class law firm. She had some pretty major people in the film industry had referred her, because I needed a new attorney now that I'd fired or whatever, the mutual falling out with Adam. So I went down and met her, and it was like the most plush office I've ever seen in my life. Like I literally felt like I was pitching a movie to 20th Century Fox. Like it was in this huge skyscraper downtown LA, and they're like, would you like anything? Coffee? Perhaps water? We can have our servants take the ice cubes out, each one by hand, right in front of you. It's relaxing to watch sometimes. I'm like, I'll just have a coffee, man. So I sat with them, and they were really cool. I love her to this day. I never thanked her when I got out of prison, but I should. Thank you, Jen, if you're watching this. Her and her partners were incredibly attentive to me. They're taking notes. They were telling me strategies, and they're like, okay, so tell us the story. So I was like, okay, this is what happened. They're like, okay, what did you say when you got arrested? I said, well, typically I don't say anything, but I admitted to it. They're like, why would you do that? I said, because I was on federal probation and I was trying to buy time. I was trying to get him to think that I'd flip for him. And they're like, why would you admit to it? They're like, if you didn't admit to it, we could beat it for you like that. But you admitted to it. So now you're like the main evidence against yourself. What did the prostitute say? Prostitute said that I had just gotten out of prison. She was trying to help me out by making money for me. They're like, I'm like, but she told Penthouse, hold on. She told Penthouse that I ain't no pimp. What about that? And they're like, nah, that's not enough. I said, so what are you saying? It's not beatable? They said, well, it's a 3-year mandatory minimum. I was like, I know. They said, in state, you do half of that. You can do 18 months. It's like, okay, 1.5 years. I said, but I'm also on federal probation. They said, well, that's the problem. They can give you up to 3 years and you do 100% of that. So if it was run consecutively, I would have done 3 years in federal prison. I did 5 last time. I mean, it's not that much different, just for a violation 3. And then I'd have to go to state and do another 18 months. Now in state, they're doing 33% when you hit the main line. So it's not retroactive. You know, people ask all the time, well, like when you're at Wasco or if you're at San Quentin in reception, Chino, wherever you're doing your Delano, if you're wherever you're doing your reception in state, you're not getting 33% until you get endorsed and go, well, not even it's actually when you hit the main line. So you can be endorsed waiting to catch a bag and you're not getting that 33%. So I got 2 months off. That's it. But there are people that got literally 2 years knocked off, a year, whatever the case, for 33%. So, but I didn't know that at the time. So in my head, they're basically saying there's no way to beat the case unless we go to trial. And then you're risking losing and that time doubling. So instead of, looking at maybe like 4.5 actual years, you're looking at like 7 actual years. I was like, let's run that. Go ahead. I'm down. I'm always that guy at the casino. I don't fuck around at a casino. I'm not like, yeah, let's play blackjack. All right, here's a $20. Here's one chip. Oh, man. Oh, bust. Oh, shit. Here's another 20. No, fuck that. If I go with $100, the first fucking bet, I'm like 100. And I lose. And I'm just like, fuck. And all my friends are like having fun with their little $20 bets that I was just making fun of. I'm like, how you guys doing? They're like, I'm having so much fun. How about you? I'm like, yeah. It's cool. I got free Diet Coke, dude. So I'm cool. Yeah. So anyway, so I was like essentially wanting to gamble on this. Now, Karina was like, are you serious? My parents were like, oh my God, why? I'm like, because I talked to them and they said, well, we can either threaten trial, which is expensive. You bring like some badass high-end attorneys from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara. They tend to get scared. People don't do that often. They don't bring in like the cavalry, like that's a pressure move to try to get them to give me a more favorable plea agreement. And, I said, well, what does something like that cost? They said 300,000. I'm like, all right. Well, what if I get 100 and I give it to you and then you just like bill me the rest? And they're like, we can talk about it. What's your financial situation? I said, well, got these film things, but really it's all pretty much I have no money. They're like, can we get that coffee back? I'm like, here you go. I have an agent named Dave. He talks to China. He's doing like international equity moves and shit. They're like, oh, okay. No, but they were basically willing to work with me to some degree. My parents were like, we're not giving you a cent. It's all on you. So now my plan was fueled by false hope. I thought if I can raise 300,000, I'm good. This event, not only was I going to make like 100,000 off ticket sales, but we're going to have merch there, and I didn't even know who we were going to have there yet. This was like a basic concept. Like now I had to get interesting people. So I stayed in close contact with them and I started talking to them. We hadn't officially signed, but I would call them and I was pretty much like, they can't give me advice of how to raise money. That's not what they do. They can just give me criminal law advice, but I would give them updates. It's okay. Now I'm doing this event. I think I'm going to generate, such and such. And, taking it all the way to the box would cost 300,000, but the whole plan was, 50, 100,000 could really put enough pressure on the Santa Barbara small little court and the DA where they, where the evidence is presented. Because I had text messages where I was telling the girl not to do the prostitution. There's literal text messages where I say, you don't need to do this. You're better than that. I feel like if you show a jury, even though I'm on probation or parole, if they've read about me in newspapers already because I was getting the press stuff, that there was a chance that I might win. It was delusion. This was the start of the breakdown. The whole thing was like me getting delusional, me getting this sense of false importance. So my next move was trying to assemble people to come and be at the event. And I started with like, I called Dave. I said, "Hey, Dave, I'm having a charity event. Do you think China can come?" He's like, "Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I only talk to them on Facebook Messenger. So give me a minute. They don't normally write back like right away." But I'd asked him for Trejo. Actually, I think I asked him for Tarantino. I'm like, "Hey, can you get the guy from Kill Bill?" He's like, "Of course I can." I was like, "What about Tarantino?" And I was kind of just like giving him a hard time because I had already, he'd already kind of like scammed me for, for that little actor studio thing, that bullshit they had me come down for. But I knew that he actually knew Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo's like one of those guys that's just very nice. Like he's very approachable. You can just go up to him, and he's all about recovery. He's all about prisoners' rights. He's a good-hearted guy. He does a lot of charity work. Somebody that I definitely try to model what I do after. And they're being really loud out there, huh? That is, that's our landlord using the pool. My door's open. See if I can like throw this water bottle and close the door. Literally did nothing. I feel stupid now. So I started calling around, seeing who I could get. And Danny Trejo, like I said, was the first person that I tried to get in contact with. So I called him. He said, yeah, he's got this woman that's his agent. They've been together for like 30 years or whatever it was, like literally the entire course of his career. We have to deal with her. And he's like, no, I can get Trejo. I'm going to need compensation. I was like, you need me to pay you to get his fucking agent's phone number? I mean, seriously? He's like, I'll get him, but you have to give me $1,000 cash in a briefcase at my food bank. He really did want cash, and I was just like, okay, whatever, dude. So he got me a hold of her, and like my whole deal with him was if I got Trejo, then I'd have to pay him. So I started talking to her, and I'd say like in my career, probably like one of my best attributes is how I am on the phone. I'm a closer, just probably because I was a telemarketer for so long and I literally had to do that to survive. Hold on. People are like, it's so loud. Ugh. That's still it. Hold on. Ugh. Sorry. I mean, what, do you prefer that I just start the video? I have to do stuff like this now. So, it looked like I was going to be able to get Trejo. She was receptive to the idea. She liked that it was about prison reform. She relayed it to him. He was filming a movie at the time. I was going to get him to host it. That was the first person I needed. And I had to pay, similar with Immoral Technique, I had to pay a deposit. And I never dealt with him directly on this. I wish I had. I'm sure he would have just done it for free. So anyway, once I got him, I started thinking about who I had access to, and on top of like being a closer telemarketing wise with different people that I talked to, and especially this phase, because I was dealing with agents, managers, started learning how this whole world worked. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know how IMDb worked. I didn't know how agents, I didn't know about publicists and how there's a point and there's like a quarterback that basically is in charge of your entire team, because that's how celebrities are. They don't just have like one agent, it's not like Californication where it's like his best friend and they like, run trains on chicks together and like, I'm so successful. It's not really like that. They have like, there's like a team, there's like social media publicist people, there's a manager, there's an agent, there is an attorney, there's always an attorney that does the contractual stuff. And then there's like an assistant, like there's an entire team, and the person that's in charge is called a point. So like, I started like learning the lingo. I'd like call agencies. I'd be like, hey, can I talk to Jenny McCarthy's point? They're like, sir, she hasn't been with the agency since 1999. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, hang up. But that's how I started getting people. I would just like, I'd literally like call with confidence, and I'd like call Robert Downey Jr.'s people and be like, hey, I'm looking for Rob. Oh, who's this? Oh, this is Ryan Leone. Oh, all right. Here's my phone number. And they actually called me back, and he was willing to do a video for it, like a video recording. That was my whole thing. I was like, hey, if you can't come in person, come do a video recording. So I started assembling people like that, and I never got him to do that, by the way. But he was willing to do it. The event just never happened. So this is like the steps I was taking as I started losing my mind. And I started, like, my friend Seth Ferrante is the man. He's a journalist. He's also a writer, and now he's a filmmaker. I'm so proud of him. I asked him to be Nico's godfather. I just respect the shit out of him. He did 21 years in prison. That guy has accomplished more than like pretty much anyone I know. Him and Ryan Ramnareis. Both of those guys just got out, and they just are like out of control successful now. Just like they just cannot be stopped. They're juggernauts. And I asked Seth because he's approached his entire career like this. He's a journalist. He's written for Vice, Don Diva, Feds magazine, which is a badass. If anyone has ever read that, it's dope. It's basically urban culture, but they focus on like a lot of like Big Meech. It's kind of like what Al Prophet does, but it's the magazine version. It's dope. And Don Diva is really good too. Vice is definitely not what it used to be, but when he was writing for them, it was still what we know now. Like they have it's like how to suck a tranny's dick. I swear I saw that, and I was like, it's like, ew. And I like clicked on it, and I was like reading. I was like, oh, I'm gonna share this. And shared it. Got like 4 likes. Dave hearted it, hearted it, and then he did like the emoji with like the strain thing. Anyway, but he wrote for them when they were still big. And the way that Seth has always carried himself in prison and in his career, which I think is very effective, is like the mafia. He will treat everybody equal. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be the biggest drug dealer of all time, or you could just be like someone that enjoys his work, and he will treat you absolutely the same. I hate people that get like too cool for school. I grew up with like, a lot of like good skateboarders, and I'd watch some of the ones that like got sponsored or like went am or pro or whatever. I'd see how it would like change them. And like, as soon as that happened, like people go up and be like, hey, like, I love your skating. And they just like wouldn't talk to them. But then like, if someone they thought was cool, they, and I don't know. I don't like that. And Seth's never been like that. He's treated everybody equal, and he does favors for people, just like the mafia. He's like, hey, I'll do this for you. No strings attached. He just does nice stuff for everyone, and people remember that. So then, they hear his name, and they're like, oh yeah, Seth's the man, hooked him up with like a good article. He's just a fair, nice guy. And that's why his career's been the way it has. Now he's producing and directing and writing films and all sorts of shit. So anyway, so I hit Seth up, and because he has access to everybody. Everybody loves him. That's how I know Freeway Ricky Ross. That's how I met Boston George and that whole crew of people. And so I started asking him. I said, first of all, do you want to be involved with the event? He said, yes. I said, can you get me Freeway Ricky Ross, Boston George? So he's like, these are the people I can get. He's like, I'll get you Freeway. I'll get you Boston George. I'll get you George Christie, who used to be the head of the Hells Angels in Ventura. And he went on to be a best-selling writer, and now he's got a huge show, and in Europe. It's kind of like Sons of Anarchy. Dude's doing good right now. So first I got Freeway, and he just gave me Freeway's number. Now, I know you guys know who Freeway Ricky Ross is, but if you don't, he was making like $1 million a day in the 1980s. $1 million a day in the 80s is like $10 million a day now. It's probably not that. That's probably totally inaccurate, but he was really making about $1 million, a day, like 7 million in a week. Like, fuck, I only made 6.5 mil this week. Fuck, someone's getting fucking fired. This is unacceptable. Like, dude, the guy was doing big boy shit. Comes out later that he was inadvertently tied into the Iran-Contra scandal, where the Contras and Iran and Oliver North and the Reagan administration, none of those guys went to jail. I mean, fucking like doing international geopolitical fucking crazy drug dealing arms deals. But Freeway Ricky Ross, the guy selling crack in the ghettos of LA, which the CIA introduced. They're like, let's add baking soda so that it hits the blood when they smoke it. Because look at these rats that we're experimenting with. When we shoot them with the cocaine, they die quicker. Shooting and smoking are the fastest entry points into the body, as well as boofing. But, who boofs coke? Like, dude, my asshole's numb. Gross. Nobody does shit like that. So, that's just my theory. I think they introduced crack, and they're like, oh, look at that. Look at what it's doing to the ghettos. We got to lock up every black and Mexican guy. Fuck that. And that's why they have the laws that they had in the 80s and 90s. But he was kind of the poster child for all that. He ended up getting a life sentence. Didn't snitch. I've heard people question that. Well, sure, he did this job. No. He was in USPs the whole time. That guy did not snitch. There were police officers that had set him up. And in his deposition, all he said was what happened with law enforcement. Like if a cop beats you up and you're doing a fucking police report about it because they're saying that you assaulted them and you're telling your side of the story and it has to do with a police officer that has authority over you, in my opinion, that's not snitching. These guys set him up. It's not like a Tekashi situation. These are cops. He had to say like, no, that's not what happened. They planted evidence. You know what I mean? But everyone's like, that's snitching. It's like, oh, okay. I don't think it is, what Tekashi did. Well, they fucked my baby mama. That shit ain't cool. I'm gonna tell no bitches. That's bullshit. That's not what he did. Look into the case. It's complicated, but he didn't. So I got him. Seth gave me his number, and I just called him. I was like, hello? He's like, yo, in the freeway. I was like, what the fuck? I just got him on the phone, and he was cool. I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. He's like, cool, sign me up. Put him down on the list. Next person that I tried to get was Boston George. And all Seth had was his manager's number, who is my manager now. And this is how I met him. So I called him, and I was like, hey, this is Ryan Leone. I know Seth Ferrante gave me his number. And like every time I drop Seth's name, people are like, I love Seth. Tell him I said, what's up? Okay, cool. He's like, what's up, man? And this guy, like this guy's family to me now. Like I fucking love him. He's the main producer of my documentary. He's the shit. His name's Jose. And Jose was like, look, Boston George and I like are kind of not working together now. I'm kind of not repping him anymore. But I got access to Christina Sunshine, his daughter. And I started thinking about it. I was like, damn, I'm doing a prison reform event. She wasn't a drug dealer. She was a victim. Mirtha and George went to prison. She grew up with her family incarcerated pretty much her entire life. And I'm super, super close with that whole family now. And the movie Blow is so much different than what actually happened in real life. I mean, it's even the book Blow, which the movie was based off of, is completely fucking different. Mirtha's not even Colombian. She's Puerto Rican. She doesn't even have an accent. She talks like whiter than I do, and she wasn't like in Blow. It's like, what are you, faggots, George? What do you, don't fuck me no more? She doesn't talk like that. But anyway, so, and the whole story is like not how it happened. It's like not that romantic. It's like, so he's like, yeah, I don't know if I can get George. Here's his phone number. He's dating this chick. They're down in San Diego. Here's their number. So I called them, and they'd be like, hello. I'd be like, hey, this is Ryan. Click. And like, I just couldn't like get a conversation with them. And then they'd like call me back at like 6 a.m. or like text me like, who is this? With like a bunch of question marks. And I'd be like, this is Ryan Leone. And then nothing. What the fuck, dude? So it was like really hard. I couldn't get him, but I thought it was a possibility, but I was actually more interested in Christina Sunshine anyway, because she had never spoken publicly about her dad or anything. And really, if you ask me, Christina's the emotional crux of the film. So I was like, can you ask her if she wants to be involved with my event? I'm about to launch a nonprofit called the Prodigy Foundation to expand literacy in prisons. I think it's a good cause. She's coming from a victim standpoint, so it's important. He's like, okay, I'll pitch it to her. I'll call you back. I was like, cool. So I had that in the works. And then I called George Christie, manager. I'm dealing with managers. I'm not dealing. The only person I dealt with directly was Freeway. And Seth was like, you don't need to call his people. He's fucking cool. Like, just deal with him directly. But these other people, I need their managers or agents. So I called, George Christie, the former Hell's Angel guy's manager, this guy named Charles Lago, who's also Tom Sizemore's manager. And this was he became my first manager, and he's like, hello. And I was like, hey, this is Ryan Lee. And I did my whole little pitch. And that's not even how he talks. He has like a British accent or something. And he's very proper, very like how you would expect like an agent or manager. I really wasn't used to dealing with people like that. He was just like a fast talking Hollywood type, and he's like, well, what exactly do you have lined up for Mr. Christie as far as, security? He is a former angel. Do you have this? Do you have guaranteed? Do you have armed security? And I was like, look, we're kind of like in the planning stages. Can you get him to do it or not? He said, yes. He's like, in fact, we started talking and I told him about the book that Tony O'Neill and I wrote together, Anti-Heroes. I told him about it and I kind of just did like a 5-minute, elevator pitch with him. And he owned a publishing company and he used to work for HarperCollins. He's like, I own my own publishing company. We published 2 of George Christie's books. We're very interested in publishing your next work. I told him I had June Gloom, but I also had this book that we had just done with Tony. He said, I'm very interested. Why don't you come down to LA? Let's have a meeting. I said, perfect. Let's do it. Around that time, I was asked to do an event to promote a book called Just to Watch Them Die. I've read out of it on here before. It's that story I did about when they cut the dude's stomach open and took balloons out. It was crime fiction that was to honor Johnny Cash's legacy. So it was an anthology with a bunch of different writers that got together to honor Johnny Cash. And I was supposed to go to New York for a couple events to promote the book. And my PA, Josh, was like, not when you have an amphetamine in your system. I was like, Josh, why do you say it like that? It sounded like I have a fucking, gerbil up my asshole, dude. I don't have an amphetamine inside of me. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's a false positive. I don't do amphetamines. He's like, you're on ephedrine. You're on methamphetamine. You are a bitch. And I'm like, I'm not. So, so he wouldn't let me go to New York. And that shit was still pending. I did not know what was going to happen. But I could go to this date in LA. It was going to be, I think it was in Silver Lake. So we coordinated where it was going to be this. I would do the reading. We have footage of this reading. I'll put it on Patreon. And I was going to meet with Charles Lago, Tom Sizemore, and George Christie's manager the same day. And then I was going to meet my attorney down there, Wendy. So I was trying to do it all at once. Now, with the event, with an anthology where it's a group of other writers, typically you guys all go on the same stage, or this was at a bookstore. So we were like all sitting in chairs. And I'll make this the cover for this particular video. And you sit there with the other authors and it's a Q&A. You read your respective parts. Mine was the most hardcore. It didn't even fit in that book. Mine was there was a scene where a bunch of black guys killed a young black guy and gang fucked his dead body. Mellow shit like that. It was so much different than the stuff they wrote. It was their stuff was it just didn't fit. I don't know. I don't think I'm capable of writing stuff like that, toned down stuff. But anyway, I had a falling out with one of the writers from that I was supposed to be doing the event. And I'm going to close with this little story about her. And this is when the egomania really started. So the event was already starting. I was planning the nonprofit, and then this thing came up. Now, my name wasn't on the cover of the book when they first printed it. I got really mad. And I went to the editor, who's a good friend of mine. I was like, look, dude, why is my name not on the cover? Like, you know, there's like 100 writers and there are 50 writers, whatever it is. And like the 5 biggest writers' names were in there. And like there were people in there that didn't even have a book out. They were just short story writers, which, by the way, in retrospect, you know, they're more accomplished in short stories than me, so it made sense. But I was like, I have a film deal. They're shooting a documentary about me there. I like pretty much like demanded that I be on the cover. And the dude's like really nice, the editor, and he's like, Ryan, it's not really the way to get me to do it. Like, can't you just like ask me instead of saying that like you demand that? And I'm just like, this is when I just became a tyrant, as Jeff would say, you know, where I was just like, no. You know, if you ever seen Boogie Nights where like he like can't get his dick up and he has like a bandana on and he's all like coked out and like Speedo and he's H&T, right? That's how I was. I was like, no, it's my big dick. Everybody's here because they want to see me fuck. It's me. That's like how I was. Seriously. I mean, that's how I got. And I was like in the early phases. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm giving you guys free attention. A screenwriter of Fight Club wrote a fucking documentary about my, you need to fucking put my name on the book. So he called the publisher and it got done. He's like, I'm really sorry. I feel horrible about this, by the way. It's like, that's such an asshole thing to do. I like demanded. Now that was the first thing. Second thing is one of the girls that was in the book and I had gotten in a fight on Facebook. I don't even know this person. When that book was initially getting promoted, pretty much every writer that was in it, we all like became friends on Facebook because we were all in the same book. I don't know. I don't even know how that happened. Maybe they just did like a group invite and we were all friends. I don't even remember. She posted something one day and it said something to the effect of Time Magazine does a study and it says that all women, or that men prefer women without makeup. That they actually prefer, it's paradoxical. Men actually prefer women without makeup. And you know how you can share something on Facebook and it says a comment above it? Or like if you retweet with a comment, you're like sharing something, but then you're like commenting on it. And she said, and women still don't care what men think. I didn't see that she wrote that. And I didn't read like the hundreds of comments. It was all like neo-feminist. You know the type that I'm all about equality, but I'm not about, well, I'm going to push equality so hard that all of a sudden we're better than you. No, we're all equal. That's the point of equality. What the fuck? You can't say that you're like fighting for races. You can't like be a Black Lives Matter type and hate white people and expect us to get behind the equality thing. It's the same for every movement, you know. A lot of it's you can't compartmentalize a movement just by itself like that because of certain factions of it. But she was definitely part of that new like neo-feminist mold where like men are evil, you know, no matter what, you know. And it's like, okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. So I commented and I go, I actually prefer women with makeup. That's all I said, right? I did not realize that I was saying this like in some incendiary post with like all these neo-feminist Nazis that were like literally, if we were in a public setting, they would probably throw pig blood at me and rip my dick off and mail it to someone in Amsterdam or something. You know, these people are fucking nuts. They all started attacking me. My notifications, and I was drinking at the time, you know. It was probably right as I had gotten out of prison for the second time, probably right after I caught the pimping and pandering case. I don't know if I'd met Karina yet, but all these notifications are like, you misogynistic pig. And I'm like, misogynistic? I said, I prefer women in makeup. That's all I said. How is that misogyny? Hello? And she's like, well, we haven't been friends that long on Facebook. And, you know, you should really respect my posts. Clearly, this is about how men objectify women. Timeout. I can't have a fucking opinion now because I'm a man? Somehow because of my gender, my fucking opinion's invalidated? You can't. That's like you saying I prefer guys with muscles over guys that are skinny or fat. The fuck is that? So you can't have a preference anymore? It's sexist? Are you fucking kidding? I said, that's reverse sexism. What the fuck is that? I always go back to the new Ghostbusters where it was all women. It's a shitty movie. And those girls are funny. Bridesmaids was funny. The same director. That was a funny movie. The new Ghostbusters fucking sucked. And what was the guy? There's like some good-looking guy in it that they objectify. He's the secretary. It's trying to be ironic. Oh, we'll have a male in the woman's, the archetypical male position, and we'll objectify him. But when we do it, we're pigs. I don't get that. We're all equal. What the fuck? So I go on some rant. I'm all drunk. I'm like, no, fucking. I'm using like big words and shit. You know how I get. I'm like, this is emblematical of a systemic response to sexism and the universality of fucking, whatever I was saying, some bullshit. They attacked me, especially when I said the reverse sexism thing. So she blocked me. And I was like, all right, whatever, cool. Thought it was bullshit. Honestly, to this day, I feel like I'm right. You guys know when I make a mistake, I'll be like, yep, in retrospect, that butt fucking conga line was disgusting. I made a mistake. I will say stuff like that. But in this instance, I don't think I was wrong. So then after I demanded to get my name on the cover of the book, I made the second demand. She can't be at the reading. It's being filmed. Screenwriter of Fight Club. Step into a Slim Jim. Saying shit like that. The egomaniac was out. It's my big dick. I'm here to fuck now. Shit like that, Nobody wants to hear shit like that. And they're just, he's being a sweetheart about it, but he's probably kind of like, wow, it's not that serious, bro. It's fucking reading. We're here to promote an anthology to honor Johnny Cash. Not that big a deal. So, he made the accommodation. Okay, she's still going to come to the reading when they're doing the filming for the doc. She'll step off stage, and your name's on the cover. I was like, cool. Then I get a call on my cell phone. He's like, Mr. Leone. It's Josh, my PO. I was like, hey, Josh, what's going on? He's like, I just wanted to tell you that we got the test results from the lab, and you were clean. I was like, I already know. Duh. I know you thought there was some gerbil amphetamine fucking monster about my butthole, but no. I know. I don't do amphetamines. I'm not even look at my record. I don't do shit like that. I masturbate enough sober. I don't need to fucking do meth. He's like, okay, you may have won this battle, but the war is far, far from over. Like the more that we started beefing, the more like epic and like Star Wars villainish he got. You know what I mean? It was just like, I don't get it. So we'll get into what keeps happening. And before I get to prison for the third time in the next video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, patreon.com/Ryan Leone. If you want custom cameos, $20, and I'll say whatever. I'll do anything for money. And I'm donating all the cameo stuff to my nonprofit. I might be merging with this other one. Expect an announcement with that soon. We're going to move in on the Narcan thing. We're getting the website built. We already have the mailing list that we're gathering your addresses on. I'm having someone go through and make like my descriptions and templates and everything more accessible. I'm doing my own website. So stay tuned. Everything's going to get better. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? The world might be coming to an end. But I appreciate all of you. Much love. Palabra.